Hello, my name is Marcus Green and welcome to our new video series. Each month I'll be talking to somebody from Moodle HQ to find out a little bit more about the e-learning platform we all love. This month I'm talking to Emilio from Moodle HQ Spain, who's the product lead for Moodle Workplace, the revolutionary corporate e-learning platform. Hi Emilio, thanks for joining us today. My name is Marcus Green. I'm a senior developer for Titus, and I'm delighted that you're available today to talk to us about your role. So could you start off by telling us a little bit about your own background and your role and work with Moodle?
Thank you, Marcus. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you for inviting me. It's great to be able to talk about Workplace, and I'm happy to do it anytime. So thanks for inviting me. And about my role at Moodle right now, I'm the Moodle Workplace lead for here in Moodle. I joined Moodle in 2018, so more than 3 years ago, and I'm based in Madrid. But and as a Moodle Workplace lead, I'm responsible basically for setting a product vision, a strategy and roadmap for Moodle Workplace, and managing the entire product line. So basically, all things WordPress related. But if we go back a little bit, I've dedicated the last 13 years to something like that of my career to Moodle. Since I first started working with it around 2008, I think it was, with 1.9 just released or something like that. I remember that. It was like love at first glance. So I'm a Moodle fan. You're talking, with the Moodle fan. And since then, it's been an important part of my professional life. With Moodle, before joining Moodle, just to give you some background, I led one of the most important e-learning projects in Spain in recent years. It was the transformation of the Spanish vocational education and training system from face-to-face to e-learning. So it was a massive project, with more than 100 qualifications, with around 10 courses each, so around 1,000 courses with like 17 Moodle sites for all regions in Spain. So it was massive, and by working on that product, I decided that Moodle was going to be an important part of my career. So I co-founded and a Spanish Moodle partner. It's in Serbia, and there I was a co-founder and a CTO. So as you can imagine, leading the technology department there, I was involved in many and countless projects for companies of different sizes, sectors, and so on. So, and after that, I just joined Moodle. I decided I wanted to just level up, so I joined Moodle.
That's fascinating. I share your passion for Moodle, and I first discovered it in 2003, and it changed my life. And I was very engaged with the free license for it. So, as one of the driving forces behind the launch of Moodle Workplace, and I know it's something that you're very passionate about, what can you describe as the main benefit for people for using Workplace as opposed to the standard VLE? And could you give us a brief history of the platform and perhaps a summary of the project so far?
Okay, I'll try to summarize it because, Workplace is a young product, but still, lots of things have happened since we launched it. So we launched it in 2019, and it was basically, a response to the increased demand for assistant, to support workplace learning, for a long time. I think there are discussions about this Moodle enterprise idea going back as far as 2005, probably, or even before, and over the years, a number of premium partners, and of course, people from the community have been creating their own plugins for Moodle, specifically to address these workplace market needs. And I can tell you from first-hand experience as a Moodle partner, the Moodle partners were creating their own Moodle distributions, with their own theme, custom plugins, custom development, So sorry, community plugins, custom plugins also. So, they were like productizing a service, right? So in fact, this is what Moodle partners have been doing for a long time. But this is because there was a gap. There were some features, specific features for the corporate specifically, that were needed in Moodle LMS. So each partner created their own implementation of a multi-tenancy feature, programs management, reports, many of them. But as you know, this is very time consuming. So maintaining this, it's very expensive and it's very time consuming. So in the end, especially with every Moodle LMS release, but probably it breaks many things you need to fix. So for partners, it was very difficult to maintain, and they were in disadvantage when they were competing against, with other companies that were not partners. So that's why Moodle decided to create an expert team for developing Moodle Workplace. And we did with the help of partners. So in 2018, we created this product advisory group for Moodle Workplace, with the help of people from our key partners. And with their help, we defined what was going to be the Moodle Workplace MVP, and then from that point on, they have been helping us to drive the strategy and to, basically to suggest new improvements for the product, because this product is for partners and is built with their help. So we did this in 2018, 2019, during, 2018 and 2019, we're working in the MVP and in the pilot phase. And in 2019, we announced it. We still continue with the pilot phase, and from them, we have been evolving the product, basically adding new features. So that will be a very brief history. And this is, when we created this team, and that I can tell you that this is an amazing team, we had that in mind, that we needed to create a product for partners.
Thank you. That's really interesting. I maintain a plugin specifically geared towards vocational education, and so I'm very aware of the the other areas that aren't universities or schools that use Moodle. And historically, Moodle has had a heavy presence in universities and to a lesser extent schools, but it hasn't had that penetration in the workplace. And I wonder if you could describe what is the typical kind of organization that would benefit from Workplace, and what are the features that Workplace has that means those kind of organizations would benefit from moving to Workplace?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And in fact, Moodle Workplace, it serves to any kind of organizations, not only corporates, but also, I don't know, non-for-profits, government departments, companies of big sectors like healthcare, universities, educational, organizations from the educational sector, because, in the end, Moodle Workplace can service any organization that needs to deliver training to their employees, customers, students, whoever needs that training. And it excels, on onboarding, compliance, certifications tracking, when working with micro skills or career development and many other topics. But it serves to any company or organization needs. And that's why it's so good, because in the end, Moodle Workplace is a platform that is something our service providers create to deliver solutions. So it's like a Swiss knife for that. So, you could use it to create solutions, whether it is for a small training academy or it's for the government or for the army. It doesn't matter, really. It helps to all kinds of organizations.
So you've identified sorts of organizations will take advantage of it. And I must admit, I hadn't given a lot of thought to some of those sectors, such as you say, the army and the government. What specific benefits would you say that Workplace brings over other leading corporate learning systems? What does it have that its competitors don't necessarily have?
Well, I think now you mentioned, I think that first I should mention what are the things that, make Moodle Workplace special, you know, in comparison to Moodle LMS. But and then I can, if you want, I can also give you some context on the different competitors. But you know, when we're talking about the benefits of Moodle Workplace in comparison to Moodle LMS, I think that we need to mention both features and benefits because they are usually mixed. And you know, when you talk to customers, you usually talk about benefits, because in the end, your features are used by the service provider to deliver benefits, right? To keep in benefit of the customer. But since this tool is mainly for service providers to create their own solutions, they're very interested on features. So that being said, I said that the most requested feature in Moodle Workplace is multi-tenancy. And I can tell you that I haven't seen any multi-tenancy feature on any other LMS that is close to our implementation. Probably I haven't seen all, but you know, but I can tell you that I haven't found anything close to this. And also that not only about features, but also benefit, the reporting in Workplace have been taken, in my opinion, to the next level with Report Builder. And we're very excited because Report Builder, it will be available in Moodle 4 soon, which is great that the whole community can benefit of Report Builder. But we will still remain some parts of Report Builder, especially in the new things coming, specific for Moodle Workplace. So in Moodle Workplace, we'll have exclusive features for some time that eventually will, you know, roll out to Moodle LMS too. So reporting is a big one. Automation of anything, you know, is also a very big one, because in the end, automating repetitive tasks, you know, such as enrollments, certifications, notifications of all kinds, rewards, or anything you need to automate in an LMS is key, because in the end, not only HR departments, but also admins, you know, they could spend their time doing meaningful things, not, you know, dealing with configuration pages in Moodle or in Moodle Workplace. And thanks to dynamic rules, it's very simple to create complex automation, you know, in Workplace just with the combination of conditions and actions. So it's very handy and it's a great benefit. We also have these new learning entities, they're higher level learning entities. So in Moodle, you know, it's very cost-based. So you have a courses, but in Workplace, we have programs and certifications, programs being learning pathways, basically, and certifications are recurring programs. So they bring recurrence and they're great for compliance. And we also, finally, we have all the organization structure we use to define reporting lines and apply them across the whole product. This is very important because anything that you need to personalize for a specific collective can be done with this organization structure in combination with other features. And of course, from a learning perspective, everything that Moodle LMS brings, and this is important, it's empowered by Moodle Workplace features. So Moodle Workplace feature, in the end, they make Moodle LMS features better than they are, because, you know, you have many more possibilities. So this is comparing to Moodle LMS. And also, so if we talk about the differences against, you know, other competitors, well, maybe I will my response will be a little bit long, sorry, but I need to give you again some context on this, you know, because you know, the difference is that unlike other competitors, Moodle Workplace, so other competitors, the main players in the corporate sector are SaaS solutions, right? So that is the first one. So it's difficult to compare a SaaS
software as a service, you know, yes,
that can be used to deliver services. But you know, but Moodle Workplace, it's so flexible that it works nicely both as a turnkey solution in SaaS. It can be used as SaaS because their features cover, in my opinion, most of the use cases and requirements for small and medium-sized companies. You know, everything in Moodle can be you can always find a Moodle way to do things if you if you know what I mean. So with a combination of features and plugins, so with Workplace and the specific features, this is even more important. So Moodle Workplace can work as a SaaS offering, so as a turnkey solution, but it also has a huge potential when used by our service providers to build custom solutions, because in the end, they have access to the source code and they can customize it to almost anything. So that is the main difference, because with other vendors, you always have some margin of maneuver depending on the vendor, but in the end, it's going to cost you a big amount of money, big money to get those features. And in the end, the margin you have is very small. So, and apart from that, since it's based on Moodle LMS, you have the compatibility because it supports all Moodle LMS plugins. You have hundreds of plugins available for WordPress, and that is a great one. And the reliability and security that brings you that Moodle LMS code, it's being looked by many developers all around the world. So because it's open source, so again, that is a big difference. And the last one that I just wanted to mention is that Moodle Workplace is a product for Moodle partners built following their advice, and that brings two very important advantages. Very important. The first one is that it has what customers are looking for, because basically our partners just tell us what the customers need, and also the customers have impact on WordPress roadmap, and that's something that you cannot say with any other solutions out there, especially the SaaS-based solution. So from a customer perspective, those were huge advantages.
Would it be fair to say that multi-tenancy and programs are two of the big headline features that distinguish Workplace from LMS?
Probably, yeah, it will be fair. And because multi-tenancy, with multi-tenancy is one of the key features in WordPress, and it is a distinguishing factor. And because of that, at least in the short term, I don't see it's going to be released to Moodle LMS. But because of that, but the second thing is that it's a very complex feature. So it will take us, if we do it, eventually it will take us, much time to do it. I'm not saying that we will not, because, who knows? We need to evaluate each, features case by case individually. But, all of them are candidates. Yeah. All of them.
And would it be fair to say that the programs feature means that you are less course-centric? Because in my experience, a student's progress tends to be embedded within courses, but programs gives you another level of organization for a learner's experience. Is that a reasonable summary?
That's a reason, yeah, absolutely. And it will be, that will improve over time. When with Moodle 4, it's going to be, there are going to be changes on that, and we're going to make Moodle Workplace even less course-centric.
I like that. I like that a lot. As somebody who's attempted to write reports that gathers information for individual students for data that goes across courses, that sounds like a very, very welcome capability. And we're very excited about the arrival of Moodle 4. And when will the comparable version of Workplace be released? I presume it'll be sometime after 4.0 for LMS, but approximately when? And what are the headline features you expect to be available in the Workplace version of Moodle 4 or Workplace?
I was expecting that question, yeah. I'm very excited about Moodle 4 too, because as I told you, I'm a Moodle fan and a Moodle enthusiast, so I'm really excited about this. And and that's not only because of what it will mean to Moodle LMS. It's a huge step forward, but also because it will be a game changer for us. With Moodle, before Moodle 4, we were like constrained because when we needed to, there's some features in Workplace, such as the dashboard that we used as a backup. So or as the default location for the new features. So let me give you an example. Programs. We don't have a program catalog. In Moodle, you have a course catalog, right? So when we introduce programs, we had to decide if we want to spend a significant amount of time working on a program catalog, on a learning catalog at that stage, or we would rather focus on creating a great programs feature and then, leaving the program catalog for a later stage. So we did the latter, right? And because of that, what we need to do is just add programs to the user dashboard. That's one example. So, in Workplace, you can see that the user dashboard is really busy. It's responsible of giving you many different kinds of information, like what is your progress, what is the next thing you need to do, but also what are the programs you have available and things like that. But in Moodle 4, we're introducing the My Courses page, so where this catalog is moving to a separate page, and we're going to take this opportunity to create this My Programs page. It will be My Courses page, probably the name will not change, but in that page you will see catalog of the programs with much more information, like the program page. So we'll let the dashboard to breathe, because we'll remove all this complexity. This is just one example. So for us, Moodle 4 is going to be a game changer, because it will allow us to do many things we wanted to do for a long time. So from a user perspective, the new navigation and all the UX improvements will allow us to completely rethink Workplace UI and features. And as a result, in the end, we'll make Workplace much more intuitive for the user, and will make easy to find things and read for the next big features, such as the learning catalog, because this learning catalog I'm telling you about, we're going to add also the catalog feature. So as a non-logged in user, you could just browse the list of programs. You could even buy courses, because we'll integrate it with e-commerce. So Workplace 4, what we're doing is like restructuring the product. So we're not going to add big features, but we're going to rethink the way they work together, right? So it will be, from the user perspective, it will be a big improvement, and that will allows us to introduce bigger features afterwards. So right now, I'm asking about replying to the question about the release date. Right now, as you can imagine, we cannot start working in Moodle Workplace 4 UI until we get Moodle 4. And I'm not talking also only about the development version. I'm talking about final prototypes and the final version. So, but since we cannot work on that yet, what we're doing right now is working on some projects, individual projects that will be required for Moodle 4, but that we can introduce before Moodle 4, such as per-tenant dashboards, report-based blogs, to add blogs to the dashboard based with reports, custom pages for specific audiences, so we can focus only on Workplace 4 UI once Moodle LMS 4 is released. So assuming Moodle LMS 4 will be released in December, and it will be released in December, we'll need around 6 months, extra months for Workplace 4. So you can expect Workplace 4 to be released around June 2022. We need, I cannot commit to a date until we have Moodle 4 in our hands and we can play with it. But this is the dates we have in mind right now. So it's not that far away.
And Moodle, one of the big promises for Moodle 4 is improvements in user experience, the user interface, because would you agree? I sometimes feel that people may have tried out Moodle 5 or 8 years ago, and they decided that they thought the interface wasn't terribly up to date, and they haven't seen it since, and they assume that it hasn't improved in the interim. So with Moodle 4, optimistically, this should change people's view of its usability and its beauty. And how does that reflect on how Workplace will eventually be when, in 6 months or whatever, when Workplace version 4 comes out?
I completely agree with you, and I hope that with Moodle 4 we can change the perception of these people who tried Moodle 5 years ago, or maybe not 5 years ago, maybe last year, but they were working with a terrible solutions provider, and the site was a complete mess. And I hope we can just make that people, we can make him back, or at least to try the product again. But if we talk about the differences in the UI and the and the user experience with Workplace, before WordPress 4, with WordPress 3, so in the current WordPress, so when we designed the MVP, for us, the UI, the look and feel and the UX was a feature, was actually a feature. So for us, it was something that we used to distinguish with Moodle LMS. So it's like, hey, in WordPress, we have a characteristic UI with some UI elements that are different. And you could say that it's improved. It will depend on the partners, but we treat that as a feature. But with WordPress 4, it will not be a feature anymore, because we really think that we need to converge, and we need to make Workplace UI consistent with Moodle LMS. But that doesn't mean that Moodle Workplace 4 it is not going to have additional improvements in UX. But those improvements will come in things that are specific to Workplace. Because we think that UX, all users should benefit from these UX and UI improvements. So that's why we prefer improving Moodle LMS UX rather than doing our own. And on that, and I don't know if you know it, but Moodle LMS UX lead right now is Rafael. He's the Moodle Workplace UX lead, but he's helping LMS team to deliver Moodle LMS 4.
That's really interesting, because I've been working with Moodle for a long time, and I'm a software developer, and I know how difficult usability is. And nobody's ever accused Moodle of lacking features. Sometimes people accuse it of having too many features. And the promise of Moodle 4 improvements in usability is something I'm really excited about. If you were just thinking about going with Workplace and you'd like to just have a look at the features and perhaps try it out, is the first place you go to a Moodle partner, or is there something, or is there some way at Moodle HQ that you would experiment with it or find out more about it?
We always advise, ask our potential customers to talk to partners, and with Workplace, they usually are premium partners, because in the end they're the experts. And one of the main benefits, but also main weaknesses of Moodle is its flexibility. It has too many features. It could be used for everything, but for the same reason, it could be overwhelming for the users, right? Yeah. So that's why, and with Workplace, it could be similar. Well, we restricted it in a way. So for the users, we try to that their first experience is much more limited, and much more specific to their needs, so they don't feel overwhelmed. So in this case, I would advise that anyone interested in Moodle Workplace, to reach out to a premium partner or to a partner in the region, because that way, they will experience the product as it is. Right now, we don't have any open demo in Moodle Cloud or anything that the users could, use. So I would advise to reach out to a partner.
That sounds like, speaking as somebody who works for Titus, a Moodle partner, that sounds like excellent advice. Thank you very much for talking to us today. I really appreciate it, your time, and also you've inspired me to go away and explore more of the features and look into what's going to arrive in Moodle LMS, particularly the report builder, that sort of things. I feel really energized from speaking to you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the progress of Moodle Workplace. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Marcus, for inviting me and for being such a great partner, because you guys have one some of the most important projects especially for WordPress out there. So keep rocking.
Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bye-bye.